Yeah, thanks for the introduction, and I'm also very happy to present a case study we have conducted at Bayer at one of our major solid manufacturing sites, consisting of different sub-plants, so still within Bayer, a site with its own complexity, I would say. And yeah, it's about, and we call it shop floor kiosk here, it's about how to enable people, I would say, to better access the, I would say, flood of digital information the people see in their day-to-day operations on the shop floor. Yeah, just a very few words about Bayer. I think there were some presentations of Bayer, so we are working on our slogan or our vision has for all, hunger for none. So there are two major areas. One is nutrition, the other is, of course, medicine. And within medicine, we are here differentiating with our pharmaceuticals division for prescriptive medicine and consumer health for the non-prescriptive prescriptive topics around the globe. So yeah, yesterday, mostly yesterday, I learned that there's no presentation without AI. I will not talk about AI today, but at least I used AI to generate an image. but AI is not the topic for today. And this image shall a bit provocate, right? So what we want to display here is like the situation, at least I observe. I'm not sure how that resonates with you and what you see on your operations, but when I go through our plans, I see that year by year, more and more screens are popping up, more and more displays are there, more and more dashboards are occurring, more and more digital information can be can be consumed by the operators, and that's all besides the terminals, HMIs, MES, and also the level 2 systems. So everything which is now coming on top, which is not originating from like our backbone GMP systems, rather from operational excellence and so on. This is also now day by day used by the people and is really entering the lives. And yeah, that should a bit provocate. So the poor guys on the shop floor, day by day, they are getting more digital stuff to consume. And we thought, hey, let's look into how to optimize that. So I'm not sure how that resonates with you, whether this is also a situation which you see on your areas, but that is at least something we observed. Thanks, of course, to the operational excellence progress we have and the tools we have here. Also the need and the hunger for digital information is even growing. When I say digital information, what do I mean? So basically, that's a bit illustrated on the left side. So when I go through our people, we see that, of course, they are also still using like paper-based information on the walls, but there's more and more also coming in like that these kind of, I call it always static information. So Workers' Council is releasing an announcement, it's putting it on the wall, and then it's maybe 1 or 2 months there, and then maybe it's falling down and someone is throwing it away or someone is replacing it actively. But this is more and more replaced also by like PDFs, but not only PDFs, we have also all the other files in the areas where people consume information from. And what is really heavily growing, not only since the last year, I would say since 2 or 3 years, is the use of BI tools. So we are using more and more, mostly I would say Power BI, but also Tableau and other BI applications. And you could always argue whether this is good or not, but let's face it, the people, the younger generation is entering the lives, and they are like digital natives. At home, they are creating their own dashboards, they are doing home automation, whatever, and they are now taking all this package to the work, and they are developing their own tools where they are like illustrating KPIs and where illustrating or even implementing tools where they support their processes. So you could say, are these now new applications? Is this now just another way of providing information? Anyway, we need to deal with it. We have, I would say, a flood of new like apps which are entering our lives, which are more like originating from citizen development, from people who are really capable in these things. And in the end, everyone who has the license of Office 360, he or she is able to develop something on their own. And of course, this can be a mess, and we need to take care how we are like, publishing these kind of dashboards and do it in a way where we have like a standardized approach and we are not like having a complete zoo for that. So at the moment, everything, or not at the moment, but in the past, we observed that everything was a bit separated. So there was one screen showing some dashboards, there was another screen showing the intranet page, there was even another one showing like SharePoints. People sometimes have to log in themselves, forget to log off. Then another operator was also there, did not log in because the former guy was logged on. So it's a nightmare when you would consider like data privacy and data security topics. So our assumption and hypothesis was that, hey, let's try not to throw this everything away. We are happy and we are proud that our people are that, I would say, mature in developing own good solutions which are hands-on to be used. But let's improve the way we access these kind of information. And therefore, we implemented a tool which serves really as a visualization layer, where we are having a content management somewhere and where we are like getting the people access to kind of a kiosk where they can just consume information and where all kinds of informations shown on the left sides can be embedded. And I think the clue or the challenge behind this is not selecting a vendor who is able to deliver such a digital signage tool, which has the capability to include dynamic data and static data. I think the secret sauce is really how to get this implemented in a clean room environment, fully supported in an area where operators are not like want to log on every time, where this is everything, I would say, user agnostic and also safely to be used. So there are a few like key points which we took care that these are properly like integrated. First, we ensured that it is linked to our identity and access management in general, so that we have control who or which kind of generic user is able to access this. Of course, we have thousands of IT security guidelines and data privacy, where we are classifying the data, and we needed to find like rules which kind of data is allowed to be somewhere displayed there, because you can imagine this is not public available. This is always in like the clean room where people have to log on with their badges, and there's already like an access restriction. But anyway, there could be data which is not to be seen by everyone. So we really had to make like guidelines on the content creators, what is allowed and what is not allowed. So this is also part of that story. And again, we were operating, or we are using this also in clean rooms. We have dedicated hardware to be used in those clean rooms there. And the idea was not that people take their hardware and like configure it themselves and building it together. So we made kind of a service out of that, which is a packet consisting of a screen plus required clients, hardware components that everyone who would be interested like in getting these kind of kiosk also in his operational area can just select it and purchase it from our central IT department. Another topic like hosting. So a requirement for our tool selection was that there is like an ease to use hosting approach, that there was no like coding skills required to host it. So this is more looking to the, I would say, administrative side, that the content management itself, but also the setup of the different clients is more or less like supported by the tool itself. So this is not an expert tool. And very important and lastly mentioned, but of course not least, is, and we heard it last time in the last presentation, how important training is there. Also here in like setting up these things, being content manager, but also using it, we had also a dedicated training, which was not that elaborate, of course, but I mean, this is more the screen is always an invitation to touch it, to use it. So that was good for us, because this learning by doing approach with having a big touchscreen on the shop floor is already like an invitation for the people to play around. And this is not a GMP process, so there was no real risk. But of course, there were also material available for the people then to use it in the end. And also, I mean, it's not a GMP world, but when we consider like the OE operations, or maybe it is GMP, but at least for the ones we did not implement it, of course, they are like day-to-day relevant and the people are doing their performance dialogues and so on. And if these kind of screens are failing or the software, the content management is not there, we have directly an issue and a ticket because, I mean, it's not like a batch which we are producing, but the people need to conduct their day-to-day performance dialogues. So again, here we also needed to implement a corresponding and a suitable support concept here. So how does that look like? I said in the beginning that I'm differentiating especially between like dynamic data, so data which is changing, BI tools, web pages, and static data, which is like announcements or maybe the canteen plan, whatever you would consider to be on the PDF. So we have, I would say, basically these two kind of information. And the nice thing behind this kiosk is that you can easily embed these kind of technologies. So be it a Power BI report, be it a Tableau report, or be it even a web-based tool, you can just embed it because in the background of this tool there is in the end a browser which is working really in the background, and you are just opening the applications and the screens directly from this signage solution. So when the operator or the user is even not able to differentiate whether this is now a Tableau or a Power BI dashboard in the end, only the screen and the dashboard is popping up and independently from the platform behind that. In addition, static data. Here what is important that you still have to rely on the content management. So each area who's using like this kind of dashboard needs to nominate a person who's also like responsible to clean up. Of course, you could also set like some rules by default that each and every file you uploaded here will be deleted after 30 days. That could also be done. But I think the real value and also like whether it's a success or not is related to the fact whether the information included there is up to date, is relevant or not. So you have to ensure that data which is outdated or even not more relevant anymore needs to get out. So if I would be there in the summer and would see then the season greetings from the sea level for Christmas, then of course there would be something wrong. So either you would like have caretaker who are like in charge for that, or you have like rules, deletion rules, which are in place there anyway. So a bit on the architecture. I will not go into that deep details, but basically we have here 3 layers for the systems. First, you have like the content manager. So as I said, the area who's using like these kind of dashboards needs to define responsible persons who decide which BI boards, which PDFs or whatever are to be included in their specific area. And you could here also differentiate whether things are relevant for all, the entire plant, or only sub-areas. And depending then on the configuration of the content manager, you could just push them to the relevant area. And things which are relevant for all are by default visible for all. And things which are just relevant for one area are also by default only visible for the specific area. And this was basically also one of the key points why we decided to go with this solution, because in other tools or in SharePoint-based tools, we've found not a good solution for that to really make the content area specific and at the same time having the same interface for all areas. So that was really, I would say, one of the arguments why really to choose this tool here. And of course, the backbone is in the end the content management hosted on a web server where the files are stored, but also where like the linkages to the different, I would say, dynamic content area sources like internal web pages and external web pages are. And the end user is in the end like working with these kind of clients which are able to access in the end all the kind of information. And of course also here there are some like pitfalls you have to ensure. As I said, IT security, data privacy, all these topics are important. You have to create a proper whitelisting, because what we do not want to do, we do not want just to have an open browser for everyone at the night shift to do whatever he or she wants in Google or entering any kind of web pages. So this is really restricted by I would say even a strict whitelisting concept here. As I said, the content selection is individualized on plant level. So you can, if you would walk through different plants, the look and feel of the application itself is always the same, but the content is purely the content which is relevant for you. So if I would work in solids and not in packaging, I would only see the solid specific information, but I would see all information which is for solid and packaging. If I would be in packaging, I would not see the solid specific thing, because this is really, I would say in the end, this was the key why this is really flying, this concept, and why the people are happy with that, because it's not that typically overwhelming, and I have no clue which information is relevant for me. So this is really end-user optimized, I would say. As I said, we have a generic user. No one needs to log in, except you would implement like web pages where a login is required. Then this serves only as a browser, and you could easily just log in. Also the actual hosting, so we have a concept where we have like a remote control and zero-touch configuration. So where there were some scripts where if you would just install a new like client, a new entity of that kiosk, it's like configuring itself. That was a bit like, I would say, nitty-gritty IT work where the people like were successful in really creating like a service. You could purchase it and then you get the equipment. And theoretically, there would be no support needed. It's getting all the policies itself, and it's like configuring itself. Lastly, but already mentioned, we are not allowing escape from these kind of kiosks, so it's automatically starting the kiosk mode, and you are not able or allowed to use it to go through news pages or whatever. Of course, we allow people to browse through canteen plans and these kind of things, but we have to control which pages and which areas can be accessed. Yeah, this is more or less only a summary of what I said anyway. Maybe just a few words where we see here also room for optimizations and extensions. So first, the feedback is quite good. Therefore, the rollout was quite smooth, I would say, in the specific site in Cologne area. What was also very nice is that actually the decision was that, or the idea was to support really shop floor operators with this kind of tool. However, we see also that other areas, be it lab, but be it also the engineering reliability teams, they are also like more and more using dynamic SharePoints, dynamic dashboards. They have their morning routines, they have their discussions, and they are now also thinking like what kind of information would be suitable for us, and we are also like allowing them, of course, to use these kind of tools, installing a kiosk there, and that they can also use it for their day-to-day processes. This is something which is currently happening, so leaving also the production area, also entering now the, I would say, reliability maintenance shops. This is basically our current activity. So having that said, I'm done with the presentation and look forward for any questions you may have.